All right. Hello. Good morning. Let's see. There we go. Yeah, I did some more work on the project yesterday. So I thought we could actually move the stuff we already did. Oh yeah. Let's see. And what I worked on specifically was a little bit of styling, but more importantly, I fixed line breaks. So when the editor writes to the files, it keeps line breaks and comments. And this is not like, this is actually quite difficult to do because I'm using TypeScript to analyze the code and make changes to it, and it doesn't like treat comments as nodes in the code, in the syntax tree. It has a special thing, and yeah, so it took a bit of time to fix that, but now it should be pretty good. So let's see. So we have the reactive app demo, and then we let's try to run the editor. Let's see. Okay, cool. Yeah, so I grabbed the colors from Tailwind CSS. I'll try to do my best, so at least it's better. But yeah, what we're going to do is we're going to remove this stuff now. Delete this and delete this. And then we are going to quit this and start it again. And then we're going to create these, continue on our project, like refactoring our project using this tool instead. So what I know we have here is an API. And this API doesn't have, we never dispose of the API. Even though it does asynchronous stuff, it doesn't actually deal with errors. And it doesn't do any state mutations, so we don't have to give it some async capabilities, and it doesn't need a state machine either. It doesn't have an internal state, so let's just create it. Cool. So this is the API, and where did I have the code for this other thing? Let's see if I can find it. I guess, was this like in a temp folder or something? Demo app? Oh, I think it's, so this is reactive app dem. So I think maybe it's in demo. No, it's certainly not in demo. Where the hell did I put it? Demo app? No, this is Rust. What the hell? Date modified. Proxy, Rustlinks demo, element capture, epic stuff. App. No, this is also something else. Where the hell did I put it? Did I call it bloppity bloop? No. No, shit. I can't remember. It's called, oh, samples. God damn, where did I put it? Did I just put it here? No. App builder test? That sounds like it. No. What the hell? Let's see. VS Code Insiders. Well, there's no extension here now, so I can't like run the... What the hell? How can I... Where did I put it? Run extension? Can I do that? Reactive app. Oh, did I override it? Oh, god damn it. No. Did I do that? No. No. Oh, fuck. We have to write the whole thing again. No. God damn it. Anyways. Let's just get to it. How could I do that? Let's see. So we have our, I guess this is on my profile. Week planner dev branch. Oh, this is so annoying. Anyways. But let's start in the other end then. Let's start with let's see, over mine. We have the API, and then okay, so what we want to do here is we want to how do we want to build this? So we have this auth thing at the front here, which decides if we actually have a running application or not. Like what I'm wondering is, should we still model this as like a front state machine that decides that you only have a valid application when you're authenticated? I don't think we have to do that. Because the thing is, like, if we have this authentication, like it's a different way to model things. And I'm trying to flip my head around to how you would think in a more object-oriented style. Because what we would do is, for example, here we would have, machines. We have like an auth machine, and then we have an app machine. And the auth machine creates the app machine when it's authenticated. But our logic needs to point to, like, related to being in an authenticated state, it still needs to point. So what do you mean to say here? Like, even because you're decoupled, like the logic is decoupled from the state, so the logic still needs to check, like, are you actually authenticated? And the question is, when we have the logic related to the app, which is basically changing pages, we won't actually know if we are authenticated. So if we were to decouple this, if we were to be able to like grab the app instance without being authenticated, you will be able to change pages without actually being authenticated. So it really should be behind. Yeah, I think that's the right way to do it. Because you can only change pages if you are authenticated. Okay, let's just add it and then start looking at how to do it. So we'll call this auth. This is a state machine. It will also do some async stuff. Like we're going to actually call the API to sign in and stuff. So it's going to do some async stuff, but we're never going to dispose of it because this is the front of our application. And yeah, let's just do this. So we have auth here. Let's try to edit it. Cool. And now we have our states here, which would then be authenticating, authenticated, and unauthenticated. And then we are going to actually set up our transitions, which is when we are authenticating, we can move into authenticated. When we are authenticated, we might move into unauthenticated. And then when we are unauthenticated, we might move into authenticating. And then we'll start out in authenticating. Because with Firebase, it basically just should we do authenticating? No, we start out being unauthenticated. And this might have an error, which is a string. Cool. So now we have our states and we have our transitions. And now we want to, yeah, by the way, what I also did is like when the editor writes the files now, it runs Prettier on it. And it even uses your Prettier file. Currently it only uses like if you have a .prettier RC file, and if that is JSON, then it uses it. But that's pretty nice actually. Anyways, so we have our states, and now we basically want to start authenticating when this thing is created. And to do that, we need to attach the API. So now, you see that? I still have my line breaks and everything. And it even adds like a line break after adding the inject there, which is super nice. Cool. So what we want to do here is basically when we create the auth, we want to tell the API to start authenticating. Yes, so let's add that. Let's see. I can't believe we're actually going through all of this again, but that's the way it is. Yeah, and we're asynchronously loading Firebase. I'm not going to do that now. From Firebase, I'm just not, because it just adds complexity. Let's see here. So we are going to, yeah, when this is created, we are going to initialize the thing, and then we are going to on auth state changed. Let's see. I guess we can on auth changed. And this takes this callback. This is coming from, yeah, Firebase user. And then we have this thing, Firebase on auth changed. And again, like we yeah, I do wonder if we want to, because this returns unsubscribe. I do wonder, like, do we ever want to stop listening for authentication changes? we don't really want to do that. Maybe like if you sign out, yeah, I'm not sure, but that we could change that later. So what we want to do when we fire up here is that we want to say this API on auth changed, and then we're going to point to this on auth changed, and we'll bind to this, and we're going to make this private on auth changed. Oh, what was the thing here? We should probably export this. On auth changed callback. Export type on auth changed callback. What are you complaining about? On auth callback. Okay, cool. Oh. Well, okay. So this is either a firebase.user or null. That's the thing. Yeah. Oh, does it know this without importing anything? Okay, cool. Yeah, so when we have a user here, we should now be able to say, yeah, by the way, when we are authenticated, we actually have a user as well. User would be a Firebase user. So when we have a user, we can say this transition into current would be authenticated, and then user. Else this dot transition into unauthenticated. And I'm not giving like an error here now. So the point is now we have this mapping. So if for some reason this thing would make you authenticated multiple times, it won't do the transition again. And this is not the state machine API here is basically just transitioning between states. It doesn't do any effects and stuff. So if I wanted to run some additional logic here, I would have to do this. So if we have a user and we have a successful transition, because this transition returns, what does it return? It returns the actual state, but like it's undefined if it doesn't do anything. So if we have a user and we are able to transition, then we'll start running some logic. And that logic is related to, well, basically go and grab the family and everything. So that we have a profile. So I guess we actually don't want to do it here. We want to already here, we want to start doing some stuff. Oh yeah, and now I'm realize, oh sorry, yeah, we did add async. So what we want to do here is to well, we want to grab the profile and we want to grab the family. But first we will need the profile. So we'll say this async, this API get profile user UID. And then we have a couple of cases here where we might get the profile or we might not get the profile. Now, and the thing is, The reason for these callbacks here, or this API, is because we want to do two things. We want to ensure if for some reason this class would be disposed. Currently it can't be disposed because it's just a single class, and it will always be there because it's at the front of our application. It will never be disposed, but it could be disposed, which means that these callbacks would never be called if it was disposed, which means it guards that logic from running whenever the class itself has been disposed. Another thing is that with MobX, we allow state changes inside these two. Yeah, that's basically it. So, but what this does is, for example, here we want to first grab the profile. So let's implement that. Get profile, and UID is a string. So let's grab that from our thingy here. Oh, by the way, we can do sign in and sign out as well. Oh, what happened there? Oh, yeah. Cool. Yes. So we have get profile. Where do we have? Yeah, so we don't only want to get the profile, we also want to stream updates to the profile. But this is what we figured out last time, is when we load up a profile, we want to give it the initial data for that profile, but we want... Hey, didn't I change the color of this? Weird. But we want... Yeah, we want the class itself to take care of updating itself. So the outside tells it what is this class, but then it keeps itself updated. So that logic doesn't leak out. So let's go and grab the profile first. Didn't I have like a get profile? Oh, there it is. Let's grab this. Where are we? There we are. And I don't think... Yeah, this needs to be async, and here we're passing a user, but we don't have to do that. Oh, we actually do. This is a Firebase user, and then we have to actually create the profile. Where do we get the profile from? Profile. Here we have it. So where should we have? So this profile is, and this is what I also like, and what I like about this abstraction is that here we actually export what is the database type. And then the actual application type is the class itself, which I find to be a really nice way to separate things, because then you don't really care about these DTOs from the application standpoint when you consume the application. This is just a contract between the API and whatever needs to use that data. It makes a ton of sense to me, at least. Okay, so what this thing does, it grabs the profile, and then if there's no profile, it actually creates the profile. And then the Firebase rules actually make sure that you're only allowed to create a profile on the UID of your user. That's like how you deal with that kind of stuff. Anyways, yes, so we are grabbing the profile. Yeah, we should pass a user here. And then this should actually give us a profile. And it does. Well, it's a profile DTO. Profile data. And then what we want to do here is, based on this profile data, we also want to go and grab the family. because when we create a profile, we want to pass in the family to it as well, because the profile is responsible for creating the family. And we can only do this when we actually have the profile, because the profile dictates if we actually are attached to a family. So let's do that. So we have to check if profile data, if we have a family UID. And this is where things get a little bit, so if we rather used async await here, that would look cleaner, right? Well, kinda. The thing is, it wouldn't actually look cleaner. So you might think it looks cleaner, but it really doesn't, because the reason it doesn't look cleaner is because you have to use try catch. Like, this is the shortcut we always do. Like, things look super clean when we don't deal with errors, but we have to deal with errors, right? So if we were to do this, we would have a try catch around get profile in case we didn't get the profile for some reason. And then nested in that, we would have a try catch around grabbing the family, right? So it wouldn't actually be any better, which is very interesting. But what we can do to clean this up a little bit, we can say, let's see, we can say like this, get family. And then we bind to this. So we could even say this get profile, then pass the user, and then this would be, but let's just write it out now first, and then we can clean it up later. The point is that you can rather clean it up by having multiple methods. So if we have a family, we have to go and grab get family by pointing to profile data family UID. And I think we also need, no, we don't need that. And again, Firebase has rules that says that you can only grab a family UID if your user UID is inside a certain data field inside the family. So that's super nice. And again, we need to deal with an error here if it appears. And let's see. Okay, let's implement get family as well. Did I have that here? Get profile. There's no get family here. Okay, let's, we can grab the type at least. Where did I put the types? That's family. So this would be export type family DTO. And then let's just use get profile and say get family. Get family. Family UID, which is a string, and this will return family DTO. And this is families. Family UID. And we don't need to do async here. We can just return this, I think. Oh no, sorry, we need async. Because we have the data here. And again, like this it might actually error. For some reason, there might not be family does not exist. That might happen. And then this should be family DTO. Yeah, and we don't add like the, do we add the UID on it? Yeah. Family UID. And it has like an owner UID, profile UIDs. Yeah, cool. So this is grabbing the family. And then we have like family DTO, and here we would actually do the transition. So it gets like crazy nested. This transition, and then we would say like we don't actually want a user here. What we want is a profile. Did we create a profile? No. Okay, so we're going to create a profile, and this can be disposable. It's going to do async stuff. And in terms of state machine, it doesn't really have states. Like you could argue that it has states related to keeping itself up to date. So we could have like a state where it's like updating, but it's like it's under the hood. You don't really care about that from a consumption standpoint, because it just keeps itself updated. And so there we have a profile, and then we want to be able to create that profile in auth. And the profile is going to be a factory. Oh, I should make this bigger. So let's see how this looks. Oh, fuck, I did a bad thing again. Oh, because now, yeah, this is the thing that I'm not sure how to deal with. Because what I did now, I was writing in the code. So this is kind of bad for the experience. I was writing in the code. If I save now, it says, oh shit, you have an update, right? And that, like, it's impossible to resolve this conflict. Like, it doesn't make any sense. So what we kind of want to do here, we just want to overwrite it. And then, yeah, I'm not running the update logic now. So what would typically happen here now? Yeah, I'm missing that piece of logic. Like this link would be removed because it's not here anymore. Okay, I need to fix that, but I'm not going to deal with that now. Oops. Yeah, so the point is, if you have dirty changes and we write to the file, then you will get this message. But it's not like a huge deal. Like what you would typically do, you would overwrite with your own changes first, and then you would just link it again, like I'm doing now. Yeah. Oh, it made 2 line breaks there. Anyways, so what we would do here, we would say now we are authenticated, and we have the profile would be this create profile, like this. This is quite a bit of code, right? It looks quite ugly. Oh, family data. It looks quite ugly, and like, how do we deal with this? So one thing, as I talked about, we could do is we could use async await there instead, but doing that wouldn't really help because try catch is just as nested as callback hell. Or we could like do a try catch around grabbing both the profile and the family. But then yeah, how would that look like? So if family failed, you would get an error. Like you wouldn't explicitly know that you got a family error. Then you would kind of have to detect that somehow, that you actually got a family error to deal with that in the catch. Or we can just clean it up. So we can clean it up by creating more methods, which makes it kind of a breadcrumb thing where you kind of have to follow it a lot more. Like you don't get, like what I like about declarative code, like, how should I explain this? So with declarative code, you typically get to express more of what you do in one context. So what I mean by context here is this method. This is the context of what happens when the authentication changes. And with declarative code, you typically can write a lot of stuff without having all the fluff in between. As we see here, there's tons of fluff here. Yeah. But that's not like, oh, I don't know what I'm trying to get to here. So the thing is, to make this cleaner, like this imperative approach, you would split it up into different methods, which would also be super nice to read, but you wouldn't get the context because you split it up into different methods. So the context would just be this get profile, right? So you know that, okay, I'm grabbing the profile. But what happens after that? And then you have to jump in to get profile, and then you see, oh, there's a different method dealing with actually getting the profile, and then you would have another method which will be get family, and then you will kind of have to jump through everything, so you don't get the full context. And this is what's so difficult about programming. It's giving as much information as possible within a context without cluttering, and it's super tricky. It's super duper tricky. So like a good thing to do here, I guess, I don't know where to do the split. So we could say like this, create family. Oh, sorry. And then bind to this. And then we would, let's just try that first, see how it looks. And that will also be private, create family. And what we would get there is profile data, which is profile DTO. And, oops. And then we would do this. We would try to grab the family. And that's not as cluttered, right? Now we get some profile data. Oh, sorry, this should be create profile. Oh, I already have create profile. God damn it. That's so annoying. Oh, yeah. I'm really noticing, like, with this way of writing apps, I'm way slower. Like, I'm thinking so much more than if I were to do this with, like, even if I were to do this with Redux, I would kind of just throw the code in there, and it would make sense at that point in time. But I would not deal with errors, that's for sure. I would not deal with race conditions where, for example, I'm authenticating, trying to grab a family, but for some reason I will be unauthenticated when I got the family. So then I suddenly create a profile when I'm not authenticated. So those kinds of things I would not deal with at all, and that's the point of this. It's a hard sell to force the developer to do a lot more thinking, but it is to write better code, safer code. And then it's kind of figuring out the API that puts you on the right path without even thinking about it. It should be like comfortable, like effortless to write the logic. But I'm noticing here I'm putting in a lot of effort to think about how I want to structure the code, and I don't like that. It should feel more natural, and I wonder why doesn't it feel more natural? Because I have very basic APIs here. So I'm wondering, is it because now I'm forced to actually deal with all these different cases that makes it more of an effort, or is it the API itself that makes it more of an effort? Because I can't imagine how I can make this any simpler. So maybe I'm just since I'm so unused to building up logic this way imperatively, like typically yeah. Anyways, so what you could do here instead is you could say so you would rather say create family like this. Family data. Sorry. God damn it. Create profile. Profile data. Profile DTO. And then we would take this stuff. And we would do this, create profile. And then we could say, yeah, so this is the tricky thing. Like we want to optionally grab this family. But when we have it, we want to pass it to actually creating a profile. So what we could do here is yeah, because this is the really tricky thing. We might have a family here. Which means that, so what we would typically do with await here is that we would just await in here, right? We would have, we would do like let family data, and then we would, if we have family UID, we would await grabbing the family, and then we would just assign it to family data. But again, we would have to do, to properly do this, we would have to do a try catch, because that might have failed. So it wouldn't look that much better. Yeah, sorry for obsessing about this, but this is very fundamental to how I think about writing code. And I really want to find like a natural way to think about these things, like writing code that makes it clear what it's doing, like put as much information in the context as possible without cluttering it. And this is a super complex piece of code because we're grabbing a profile and then we're optionally grabbing some other data, and both of them might fail. Like that's a lot of stuff to take care of. I wonder if there's a different way to express the async, because now I'm just giving it a promise and 2 callbacks. I have to give it a callback because of MobX. I wonder, let's try something. This might seem silly, but what if you said like const family with this dot API, sorry, this async Then you would kind of do this. And then what you would actually get back here is not a promise. So this is going to look a little bit weird. But you would actually get a way to... so family resolved. This is kind of weird, isn't it? Then you would get the data there. And then you could optionally deal with family.rejected error. So why the reason I'm doing this is because first of all, I'm flipping it around. So instead of this class saying that it's going to do some async stuff, it would rather be the API that says it's creating these async resolvers. So it will be easier to say that auth is just there's nothing async. Sorry, auth is not producing anything async, right? It's just consuming async. While the API is producing async, right? So it would mentally be easier to determine, am I going to produce something async or am I not going to do that? Like, are any of the methods going to return some async result? And then, so then it would rather be get family that would return this async thing. So you would have it like this, and then you would say, okay, do I want to deal with the resolved result? Yes, I do. Well, I guess this would be just like a promise, of course. The only thing that's different about this promise is that, so you would do then, it's wrapped. So it's not called if the API would be disposed. Oh, I guess that's the thing. Like, now this is running in the context of, yeah, so that's the problem. Huh. Yeah, this wouldn't work because we want the disposability functionality here, where if this auth was disposed, then we would not want to run this stuff, right? There's no way to deal with this if it's the outside that, yeah, that doesn't work. So it would have to be, wow, this is so fundamental to coding, and I'm so surprised it's so difficult to deal with this. And again, typically we just don't deal with it because it's edge cases. But this is where bugs come from. It's not dealing with these edge cases. It's not writing try, catch, and verifying disposed stuff, like running logic of disposed code. That's where stuff happens. Yeah, I'm not sure about this. Wait for, maybe we should call this something else than async. Then catch, and then we would have like finally. Like it wouldn't clean up anything. That's the thing. It wouldn't actually clean up anything. And what I don't like about this is that you're not forced to deal with errors. Right? Yeah, I don't like this. Because what we're doing here is that we're forcing you to deal with the errors, and you should deal with the errors. And we're not forcing you in terms of runtime, but we're forcing you in terms of typing. You have to have this error callback. Like we could also do this. And then if you don't care about errors for some reason, you would do this. That's also possible. But it has to be a callback because of dealing with disposal and dealing with mobx state changes. Yeah, maybe this is better. Like it's old callbacks, which is interesting. But you know, this is the whole reason that you have cancellation functionality suddenly in promises, because it's a problem that with promises, like it looks better, but it's unsafe. Like you have a den, but maybe you don't want to run that den, right? Because something has happened in the outside context and you want to cancel the promise. And this has been a request for a very long time. And now you have this abort controller thingy to deal with this. And I expect like, yeah, typically developers don't really care about this stuff. And I think it's an API flaw, really. Like we've been bashing on callback hell and all that stuff, but it's safer. That's the point. Because you're explicitly thrown an error in your face all the time, so you're more encouraged to actually deal with that error. But I totally see like the problem of callback hell, as we can see with this simple example. Like it's definitely not ideal. Yeah, it's definitely not ideal. But I think I just want to reflect on this a little bit. Because I really want this. I want it to be a no-brainer how to write code in this manner. But yeah, it's interesting. I wonder how I would feel about this if I didn't have to use callbacks. Maybe it wouldn't be such a big deal. Like if I could actually use async await. Yeah. Thinking. Thinking. So one thing that's interesting, which is very interesting, it's this concept in Rust called tasks. So they have something called futures, which is basically promises. But then you have tasks, which are abstractions over futures. And they basically deal with like managing the futures. So you could say that, okay, if you have a flow where you deal with multiple promises, you shouldn't just manually deal with them. You should create like a task. Because then you can express more declaratively how you want these promises to relate to each other. So let's explore that. So what if we wanted to create like a task for grabbing the profile? Optionally, if we have a family UID, we also want to grab the family, and then finally we want to create the profile, right? Maybe finally is the keyword here. So we have a task, and this task is a set of, so I'm just going to write something now. So what we want to do first is to grab the family, okay? And since this is an abstraction, we don't have to say this async. We just say that yeah, we just say that any promise here will kind of wrap it and yeah, whatever. Okay, let's just write this first. And so now we have this thing. So we could say that, okay, if there's a promise, we'll wait for that promise. And then you're able to deal with the result of this, which can be an error or it can be resolved. We don't know that. So let's do like an error and result just to start with something. So here it means that if it's an error, you will kind of have to do error, else if result of family UID, you would do this, or you would do this. Yeah, so the thing is, if we have a family UID, what we would do, we would say this API get family, right? But the problem now is if we were here, we would actually be done. Well, I guess, okay, so just as an example, here we would transition, we are actually done here. So if there's an error, we are also done, but we, what were I going to say? Yeah, so what would we do here? We would kind of, well, we would transition into something, I guess, unauthenticated or something. Anyways, so okay. So with this API, you could say that given that this, so whenever I meet a promise, I'll wait for that promise. Then I'll pass the result of that into the next thing, which is a callback. But that callback can actually return a new promise, optionally return a new promise. If it doesn't return a new promise, it will stop there. Then it's done at this point. But if it returns a new promise, it will continue, and you will actually get a new one. I'm starting to think about the typing for this. It looks nice because you're kind of optionally moving down the task. But again, and what if you just wanted to do something here and then you actually wanted to move on? Well, I guess the question is like there's nothing to move on to. Yeah, so it's natural that you stop here. Yeah, but the typing is hell here because we don't know. So you're either returning undefined or you're returning this promise, which means that you might have a result here or you might not have a result here. So this is, yeah, and this is a problem. Like we're doing a declarative API here, and that's super tricky for TypeScript to understand. We could do some crazy shit like, whatever the return value of this function is, remove undefined. So you would kind of omit undefined, so you would kind of get the result of this. But then you might return something else, and then you will get a union, which I guess is okay. Yeah, or then you can go the cerebral way. So you would do resolved, rejected. So you're grabbing a family. If it's resolved, you do this thing. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. I just don't know. Optionally move on. Okay, so what else could you use that for? So what you could also do is you could so yes, there's many ways to do this. So you might have a task, right? You have some complex flow control. So you create this task where you first give it first you give it the different things it's supposed to do. So for example, get profile. And then you have get family. Get profile. Yeah, but then, yeah. Anyways, let's write it down. So then you first give it callbacks, and then you define the flow control. So you would do something like, I don't know, get profile. Wow, this is surprisingly, oh my god. Yeah, this wouldn't work because you wouldn't be able to type this at all. Like, this depends on the profile data. Like, how would you type that this actually knows that it needs something from this thing? Like, it wouldn't work. I think the closest thing is this. So you would even kind of do this. So it's an array of callbacks where it moves to the next callback if the other one returns a promise. And then you would create a task. Yeah, what's interesting about this is you could even define them as properties. So you could say like private profile task would then be, oh, I guess you can't do this here, can you? Well, anyways, you would do this, and then you would say, yeah, I guess that's not any better. No, that's not any better. Okay, so we're grabbing the family. What if that is the first argument. You grab the family, and then, because you have to do something async first, right? And that could even be like promise all or whatever. But yeah, what would happen here is that you would do the transition here, and then you would do the same transition here. So what would happen if you had like a finally thing? Guess it's not such a big deal to do it twice. This transition, something like that. So this would be like creating the profile, and this would be the same, creating the profile. But again, you have to check if do you have an error, else. I guess the way this would actually look if it was formatted was something like this. I'm not sure how Prettify does this, something like this. But again, this is quite exotic. Is it like, for anyone seeing this the first time, would they understand actually how this works? I don't think so. Like here, it's more obvious what's actually happening. But yeah, I guess it makes more sense to have, like, instead of having two callbacks, you have a single callback with an error as the first argument. That would clean it up a little bit. Yeah, I think my head is just stuck. Well, this is, it's way too exotic. Okay, so how would this look like with no second error callback? Oops. Oh, like if error, do this, else if profile data, we do another error, and then if error, else. Yeah, I don't know. I wonder how this would look like with a matching API. Well, it would basically just yeah. So basically with a matching API, a matching like API, it would just be like resolved, rejected. Those are like the patterns. And then you would do the thing here. What's good about this is that you can choose to put the rejected on top. Yeah, maybe that's a good idea. Because then if your rejected logic is way less than your resolved logic, it makes more sense to put it on top, right? So whatever array you have here, you can deal with that. Or if it's resolved, it would have like profile data, and then you would have, if I guess this stuff, if profile data family UID, and then you would kind of grab the family here again, and again rejected. We don't really deal with the errors. Resolved, and then that will hold the family data. And then you would do this, and this will be, this transition would be the same. Yes, I guess like what's good about matching API is that well, yeah, because you can kind of choose more naturally the order of things. So here I'm choosing rejected on top because it's just less logic. So in case of this as well, like there's more logic here, but it makes more sense to like, I could do the opposite. I could say if no profile data and flip them around, which would look nicer. Like if I do this, because it's just less stuff there. But it's not like ideal. You would have, yeah, it would be nicer with a matching API. So you could do like switch family UID, and then you would kind of, if the case was undefined, then you would do this, or by default you would kind of do this. Yeah, I'm just playing around. But yeah, I don't like negatives, like unnecessary negatives. So I would do it like this. But at least what you can do here now, you can say like rejected. I will deal with this inline. But on resolved, I actually want to call, I want to point to like create profile, for example. Oops. And then like it's a little bit cleaner. Yeah. It's interesting. It's interesting. But I do really like this a lot better because you can choose where you want to have rejected and resolved based on, instead of forcing you to have these two callbacks and having like a single callback with error and yeah, and you can even have like a finally here if you want to do that as well, which is nice. It gives a lot more flexibility. Okay, let's change that. Let's keep this code, and then we'll think more on this later. Let's see. So, oh, no modules, runtime, mixins, this.async. So we're not going to do this. We are rather going to say resolvers rejected is yeah, and we don't need this E stuff. This was something I used to have. Rejected, resolved, get the data, and doesn't have any stuff there. And then we could say finally, which is like optional. Yeah, let's just do void there for now. So then we have resolvers resolved. Well, finally. Yeah, the problem again is like if you have resolved and then you're doing something async inside resolve, then finally should really happen after you're done with resolve. But this causes a problem again. This causes a problem again. Well, does it? Yeah, because if you're doing async, then this should really return a promise. And then you might be tempted to await one of these async things, which is exactly what you shouldn't do. Because the logic you run after await, it's not safe, right? Yeah, it's I'm so obsessing about catch error, blah blah blah. If error callback. Oh, you should have an error callback. You should always have an error callback. Resolvers rejected error. Okay, let's build it. Let's build it. I guess this reads pretty good, like you're saying this. Yeah, maybe we can use like resolve instead instead of async. I don't like async. This dot resolve. So it's like a safe resolve. So you resolve, get profile. If it's rejected, do this. If it's resolved, you get it. In this case, we need to resolve something more. So like you can do async await if you want to do that, but this API gives you the possibility to do it safely based on the state of the class instance itself. Like it might have been disposed, but also in terms of MobX, if you want to do some state changes after resolving a value, you have to do it like this, because we need to wrap that callback with a function, like an action. Youpity. But this actually helped a little bit, that's for sure. And then we could have, like, if we don't have a family UID, then we'll just resolve it like this. We could just return. I guess this is not allowed. And then return. Do this, or we'll actually go ahead and resolve grabbing the family. Like this is starting to look like something. Let's rename it to resolve. Resolver. I have to change some more code, but yeah, like in the editor itself. Resolver. Class resolver. Async resolve. Yeah, I think that's good. Okay, cool. Let's build it. Aren't you happy? Oh yeah, I guess now we don't have, we need resolver instead. There we go. And we could even do like rejected, resolved. This also helps actually, like in terms of readability. Maybe that's overkill. Maybe that's overkill. Yeah, I'm starting to like this. Again, this is like like a level of complexity, like conditional asynchronous code is maybe like if we ignore all the race conditions and like getting into issues where things are disposed and all that stuff, like conditional async logic is really the worst. It really is. Because typically you can just go ahead, like if you're doing multiple async things, you can typically put it into promise all, for example, and then deal with any errors being caught there. But when it's conditional, you can't really do that, because you have to fetch one thing first, and then based on the result of that, you might want to fetch something else. Yeah, that's the thing. But we should... okay, so let's just fix the final thing so we can actually push the change as well. Why is the extension still here? Anyways, editor. So on the files manager here, well, first of all, in the client, we have to change, not on the back end, but let's see, do we have common here? Wait, don't I have the latest? Already up to date. Where's my common folder? Oh, sorry, there it is. Types. Do we still have like async here? Yeah, so it should be resolver. There we go, and that should kind of throw a bunch of errors here, which isn't picked up for some reason. Oh, what? Why doesn't it find anything? Like, I wonder sometimes this search doesn't really work, because I know that in client flowchart components node inner, I know that we're using async. Oh, it's nice. Sorry, I forgot I made it dynamic. Okay, but here, oh, I guess it just works then. Yeah, sorry, this should just work. Cool. Oh, didn't I actually? Oh, I didn't actually format with prettier. JSON. Let's fix that as well. I've been streaming for way too long here. Oh, I'm looking at how much? Oh, 1.5 hours. That's crazy. Yeah, and then just do a toString here. I think I can say, yeah, I don't think I need that UTF-8 thing, but let's do it. And then we actually, yeah, look at this. Prettier format. And then prettier config. Oh, prettier format, prettier config. I'm curious if this actually works. Yeah, let's see. So if I were to, in the editor, let me close and start the editor again. So just for fun, we're going to, yeah, maybe we can create just create the family thingy. So this family, this is also disposable and we'll also need a resolver. Let's create that. Let's, yeah, so it actually wrote that file now. So it did run prettier on it. Oh, did it add observable? Okay. What happens if I attach this to profile now? It didn't work. Oh, look at this. Unexpected token. Ugh, what the hell happened? Oh, maybe this is also wrong. API. That was kind of weird. Okay, so family is okay, but let's see. It might be because I had an invalid profile file. Let's just try to. Oh, where the hell is my family? Oh, it was when it wrote. Oh, I know why. I think. Yeah, I think it's... Oh, yeah. I think I know why. It's because I was using... So here, when I'm writing a pretty file, I kind of have to choose... Like, am I going to do JSON or... let's see, I'm just going to fix that. Prettier options. So I think by default it uses parser, bubble, both the bubble and flow parsers support the same set of... Yes, I'm pretty sure. Angular, GraphQL, JSON, TypeScript. Okay, I think actually I need to... so let's do this. Prettier config. And then, what's it called? Parser. Parser. Yeah, so we let's path ext. Isn't that the thing? Oh, of course. File name. X name of file name. What was the node X name? So if I do .json, then we're going to use JSON, right? Or we're going to use TypeScript, because those are the only two things we currently use. So let's try to remove family. Let's remove family. Oh yeah, look, it prettified this thing as well. That's nice. Then we're going to try to add the family again. Oh yeah, it didn't even store the... Yeah, let's try to move these around. Does it give an error on that? And how to this error, blah blah blah. Yeah, I think it's okay. So let's bind the family to the profile. And yeah, now it updated. That's good. Cool. Yeah, that's nice. That's nice. Yeah, so what I'm seeing is like, looking at this, it feels like Angular. It kind of does. Like with the decorators and everything. But it's such a powerful concept. And if it doesn't make sense to you, I totally understand. But I really like object-oriented, like when you define things in an object-oriented manner, because you co-locate logic with state. And with the IOC concept, it's insanely straightforward to do testing, which is awesome. It's really difficult to test application logic because of all the dependencies you have to different effects and other pieces of state and logic and stuff like that. But here it's super straightforward. Yes, I like that. And then I also like how we're able to attach these capabilities in terms of making things disposable. The resolver we can add state machine support, and just the freaking visualization of everything. It's super powerful. Hello, Eric. So yeah, I really like that. But it's just different from what I'm used to, so I kind of get into these, yeah, I kind of lock myself into these different way of thinking about things. But anyways, I think we're going to push this, and then we'll continue evaluating what the hell we're doing here. Because like, I wonder if someone jumping into this is like, okay, yeah, this can be authenticating, authenticated, unauthenticated. Cool. Okay, it's able to create profiles. It uses the API. Okay, these are the transitions. So when we're authenticating, we move into authenticated. Okay, it starts with the initial state of unauthenticated. When it fires up, it registers an on-auth changed listener. When this triggers, if we have a user, we're going to resolve a profile. We don't do anything if it's rejected. If it's resolved, we get the profile data, it's inferred. And if we don't have a family UID, we're just going to run a transition to authenticated and create the profile. And then return. But if we do have a family UID, we are going to grab that family. If it fails, we don't do anything. If it's resolved, we're actually going to pass profile data and family data here. Cool. And then, okay, so again, if no user, let's clean this up. So maybe this is a good pattern, like, and then we return. It's to avoid having these ifs, really. This is how you really clean things up. That's even more clear. If we don't have a user, let's transition into unauthenticated and just return. Yeah, this is looking pretty nice now. Anyways, okay, cool. I really have to stop now. I'm kind of excusing myself because I need to, getting another kid. I kind of excuse myself just doing what I want to do. And I've been encouraged by this by my colleagues as well, like put my mind to ease, whatever works. So in this case, it was streaming. But yeah, I want to do some testing of a feature I've been working on for Codesandbox. So I'm going to do that next. But yeah, it seems like when I talk about this and do all the reasoning, again, like the stream is very raw. Like, and I do think about stuff to this detail a lot when I create APIs. And it might seem like I'm discouraged and I'm feeling like I'm going the wrong way, but it's just how my mind works. I just really like to dive into the details and figure out what's the best thing to do, and not like just disregard stuff because it's kind of difficult or it doesn't quite fit with the initial idea and stuff. I just hammer at it until something pops out. And I'm really happy about like changing this async with 2 different callbacks into resolve and then having explicit rejected and resolved, because then you can put the rejected above or below resolved depending on how much logic you have there. That was a big advantage. And then yeah, for me, like writing imperative code, I don't write that much imperative code. And dealing with ifs really cleans things up when you do what I'm doing here. So instead of checking if I have a user, I check if I don't have a user, because the logic for not having a user is much simpler. And then I just return so that you don't need an else. And I'm doing the same thing here. So if we don't have a family UID, the logic is simpler or like shorter. So yeah. Cool. I guess that's it for now. we'll just continue on this. It's a good project to test out everything. So I might be working on this because I don't have that much to add yet to the project itself, like the editor and everything. I'll probably continue a little bit on this, and then I can rather tell you what I did. Yeah. Yep. Okay. Yeah, and finally, like the big thing here, one thing is having this mental image, but also like when we start running this code, we'll see everything pops up here, which is super awesome. So looking forward to when we get to that point. Well, I guess we can actually run it. So npm start, and then in the index file, what's it complaining about here? Oh yeah, create profile. So constructor, what's it called? Profile data, profile DTO, and then family data. We might have that. Family DTO. We're grabbing that from the API. So now this is happy. That's good. And then index. Let's just grab auth. And now let's see, localhost 1234. Yeah, and now we see it starts populating. Yeah, I have to make this a little bit bigger. So I'm unauthenticated now, and I'm not signing in, so I'm not getting anything, but it actually does state I'm unauthenticated. And we can see that I have my auth instance, and we have an instance of the API. Wow, that looked like shit. And we can move to that instance. Yeah, I have to clean up UI as we move on, but currently I'm focusing on the functionality. Anyways, so this is pretty cool. And yeah, so like because it's a state machine, we have this additional thing. The current state. So you clearly see if any of the classes is a state machine, you see what state it's in. Anyways, cool. We got that running as well. Let's push this stuff. Let's close this. Let's close this. Git status, git add. Change to resolver and actually use prettier. Cool. Push that. Okay, great. Thanks for following along. And we'll see where we go next. But yeah, I'm still super excited about this project. I'm actually thinking about one of my colleagues, Sid. He just launched something called UI DevTools. It's like thing related to Tailwind CSS. Like, you should check it out, ui-devtools.com. But he does this really interesting thing where it's closed source until he gets enough sponsorship, and then he makes it open source when it's actually maintainable. So I thought about, but he has like a broad audience with his tool, while this tool is quite a niche thing, which I kind of like, because then there won't be that many users, so it's easier to maintain, and it's like a niche thing, so it's more fun to talk about it, to not say that this is how you should do things, but this is how you can do things. So it's more inspirational when you see new kinds of tools. So yeah, but I thought about doing that, like having closed source, and then if it's valuable enough, people will sponsor, and then I'll open source it, because then I won't have the pressure of fixing things all the time, and it feels better if you help people who actually sponsor. Yeah, but I have to figure out how that works. Anyways, thanks for now. Talk to you later.